What's going on, Jerome's beautiful Tuesday, and Minnesota Vikings training camp is off today before they descend upon Cleveland, city that does indeed rock. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But Vikings join practices against the Browns, 2 preseason games left, and basically we're past the halfway point, and some of the training camp competitions have stratified a little bit. Like, there's some favorites, there's some dogs, there's a lot of things going on. So of course we're going to get into basically tryouts. Doesn't really fit, but I want to use that meme. It's been a while. Anyways, so here are, I don't know, how many is this? I don't know. I'll probably miscount anyway. But here's some Vikings training camp competitions for certain positions, as well as the favorite, the challenger, as well as percentage chance that the favorite got this thing locked down. All right, so first off is quarterback 1. So Sling and Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy. I think Darnold's probably got like 85% chance, and this could be even higher, with JJ being held out of night practice on Monday with some right knee soreness. Now, obviously, hopefully it's just precautionary. Sounds like it is, but also, just sort of is what it is. Now, even at full strength, I think that Darnold was going to secure the job. I thought that he's sort of whatever on Monday night, but he looked good on his drive on Saturday, strung together a number of really good practices the week before. So I do think that Darnold is going to be your quarterback for the beginning of the season. Now, does he hang on to it long time? TBD. The most natural spot on the calendar is when the Vikings get back from London week 5, and then they're on bye week 6, and then week 7 at home against the Lions. So that is the spot where I feel like if you're going to make that change, that is the most natural spot early in the season. You're going to get a feel for what this team already is. And also, given the gauntlet of the first 5 games minus the Giants, you can tell if something needs to change or if you're going to be good to go. There you go. But, I think Darnold starts week 1. And he'll hold on to the job as long as he holds on to the job. And I still have hope for the pride of USC. Next up, quarterback 2. J.J. McCarthy is the favorite over challenger Nick Mullins. I think this is 90%. I think that Mullins is a solid veteran who knows the offense, but also, he had the full roller coaster of Nick Mullins last year. Like, he throws for a lot of yards, also he throws it to the other team a lot. And McCarthy, I think McCarthy is indeed ahead of schedule. Right knee soreness aside, I think that O'Connell and company would feel comfortable, like if, knocking on all the wood, if anything happened to Darnold, alien abduction-wise, that they would feel fine with McCarthy going in. And also, if Darnold isn't cutting the mustard, I feel like they would be fine if McCarthy went out and got after it. I think that he's checked off enough boxes and reached enough benchmarks that they would feel good in that spot. Next up, wide receiver 3, Jalen Speedy Naylor. Brandon Powell is a challenger. So I would say that Naylor's 80% now. It's not 100% because I still think that Powell is going to be involved in some fashion at that wide receiver 3 spot. But Jalen Naylor has looked very impressive, and knocking on all the wood. If he stays healthy, I think that he can be a really nice complement to Jefferson and Addison and be that vertical element. Also, he's struck up really nice chemistry with Darnold in training camp, as well as kind of nice ball from J.J. McCarthy early in that first preseason game. Next up, wide receiver 5. So Powell, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3A in that area. Wide receiver 5. So Trishan Jackson showed up and showed out in the preseason game. And then you got UDFA Deshaun Jones, Trent Sherfield, as well as Thayer Thomas. So I'll put Trishan Jackson at about 40%, locking this thing down. Now, this is a pretty near-run thing. Now, they obviously could keep 6 wide receivers on the 53-man roster and a couple on the practice squad, sure. But there's a couple things going on. Number one, they did pay Sherfield as a free agent. Not a ton, but if it's close, that does matter. Same thing with Deshaun Jones, $225K guaranteed for UDFA. Also, worried about which guys can they get through waivers onto the practice squad. Also, Thayer Thomas is breaking late, versatile as well as a slot machine. But Jackson, who's been in the sphere for the Vikings for the last 3 years, really tight with Justin Jefferson. And I think that Jefferson has really helped his game. I think Coach McCardle has really helped out Trishan Jackson's game. And I like him as a nice complementary possession receiver. Showed that he does have some chops. Last season, catching a touchdown against the Falcons. So I think that Jackson frankly, has earned a 53-man spot. And, that 40% might even be low. But again, it could be a spot, too, where they keep 6 receivers on the 53. Next up, tight end 3. So tight end 3 behind TJ Hawkinson, tight end 1, Josh Oliver blocking tight end 2. So you got Johnny Munt as the favorite. Challengers, Muse, N'Keal Harry, who actually got himself a lot of snaps in the first preseason game at tight end, as well as Bobby Tonyan. I'd say this is 99%. This is a complete, absolute stone cold near lock. So with Muse they like a lot. I think Muse could potentially push for a 53 spot. Tonyan, with back spasms, it's just sort of is what it is. Like, not out there, not competing, not getting after it, and Munt has looked really solid. So I think that Johnny Munt will be your tight end 3, and with Hawkinson probably up on blocks for the first couple weeks, he will be your receiving tight end to begin the year. Next up, left guard 1. So Blake Brandel, challenger, Dalton Reisner. Now, the Vikings along the offensive line, it's been Darrisaw, Brandel, Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Brian O'Neill basically from soup to nuts at training camp and the first preseason game. Brandel has played pretty damn good, and you could see why they committed a 3-year deal with him with half of his contract guaranteed, and why they chose him over Dalton Reisner. Reisner was the add-on, so I would say that Brandel's probably about 95%, like basically has this thing on lock. Now, what's interesting is the other guard spot. So Ed Ingram, Dalton Reisner. I think this one's basically a toss-up. I think they'll give the slight edge to Ed Ingram just because he is the homegrown second-round pick heading into year 3 as a starter. But Ed Ingram just straight up looked bad against the Raiders, and he's had some tough reps in training camp as well. And Reisner. So it's very interesting. So Reisner was the Vikings starting left guard last season. They gave that spot to Blake Brandel. Reisner's only played left guard in the regular season in his 5-year NFL career, head into year 6 now. And they've worked him almost exclusively at right guard, backup right guard. He's had a few left guard second team snaps in there, but he's been working at right guard because if he's going to get into the starting lineup, he's going to replace Ed Ingram. And I think it's kind of a toss-up right now because at the end of the day, if Ed Ingram is just the weak link on the offensive line, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And Reisner, say what you will about him, but he was a solid, competent starter last year. And I think that if Ed Ingram plays the way that he did the bulk of last season, as well as in that first preseason game, nah. Defensive side of the ball. So defensive lineman 5, Levi Drake Rodriguez, and they got Jalen Redmond, James Lynch, and Jaquelin Roy, last year's 5th-round pick out of LSU. So I say D-line 5 because I think it's pretty clear that they're going to keep Tillery, Phillips, Bullard, Jonah Williams, who I think has been really solid in camp this year. And then if they only keep 5 D linemen on the 53, which is a possibility, that fifth spot's up in the air. Well, actually not even so much up in the air. Levi Drake Rodriguez is obviously the favorite. I think that he's probably a stone cold lock to be making the roster. So 97%. Hell, there's no 100% in life, but it wasn't on screen. 100%. Like there's no 100% in life, but that's pretty close to a stone cold lock. Now, this could be moot because they could keep 6 D linemen on the 53 or a couple on the practice squad, have them as game day call-ups. But yeah, but Levi Drake also, like LDR, has definitely earned himself some playing time once the regular season comes along. Love him, man. Last edge rusher. So Gabriel Murphy, and then you got the challengers Bo Richter, Andre Carr II, as well as Bo Porter. Now, we say last edge rusher because I think the Vikings right meow. They do go 4 deep on the edge. AVG, Grenard, Diamond Dallas Turner, as well as Patrick Jones II, who's had himself a really great training camp. Now, PJ2 could be traded. Just because of a numbers game, if they want to keep a couple of these other UDFAs on the 53. Also, Jones is in a contract year. He's probably not going to get the run that he wants, and obviously edge rusher is something that's always going to be in demand. So the Vikings could potentially get some trade value for Jones II. But Murphy, who's been dinged up with an undisclosed injury, I mean, they obviously love him. Large guarantee for the UDFA contract, looked really good during OTAs at the beginning of training camp. And then you got guys like Bo Richter, who just came in and slaughtered that first preseason game, man. Owen Porter's looked good in training camp. Carter II, not as flashy, not as impressive as Richter or even Murphy at times, but you knew that he was a project coming in, right? So, TBD there. But if they only keep 5 on the 53, I still think that Murphy gets it, unless it's a spot where they put Murphy on injured reserve. I mean, I understand recency bias, but it could be tough to get Richter onto the practice squad. They may have to just eat it and keep 6, or keep Murphy, Richter, and trade PJ 2. I don't know. So right now, this is a bit of a toss-up, like we said, and also factoring in the fact that Murphy potentially could go on injured reserve. They just want to stash him in that manner. Next up, right cornerback. So do you guys remember the running back fullback Zach Line? All right, so Zach Line ran for a bajillion yards at SMU, and then they were going to move him to fullback. They were basically going to turn him into the next C.J. Ham. But his rookie season, he wasn't really injured, but the Vikings wanted to save a roster spot. So they said, hey, you're on injured reserve. We're going to pay your full salary. We're going to retain your rights, but we're going to save that roster spot. And also, we're going to allow you to put on some weight so you can become a fullback. But everyone knew the game. Everyone knew that he wasn't injured, man. But anyways, so right cornerback 1. So looking at this, Caleb Evans as the favorite challenger, Stephon Gilmore. I believe that's Mr. Gilmore's. Even though the Vikings haven't come to terms with Stephon Gilmore yet, just give it time. But I do think that Griffin will be back from the hamstring. He'll be starting left cornerback, Murph in the slot. So starting right cornerback, Evans, I think, would be the favorite. And they got guys like Moreau, McLaughlin, Shelley. But, yeah, the real challenger is Stephon Gilmore. And so we're going to put this one at about 20%. Right. So if and when Gilmore does sign with the Vikings, Evans will go to the bench and into the rotation, although I think that he has done well. I think he's made really big strides this offseason. Next up, cornerback 4. So Nudie McLaughlin as of right now. So this does not include Stephon Gilmore, because if he did, cornerback 4 would be Caleb Evans. But cornerback 4, so you got Nudie McLaughlin, you got Fabian Moreau, you got Duke Shelley, as well as Carry On My J. Edwards' son, who they liked at outside right corner on the second team defense in the first preseason game. So, I mean, McLaughlin, basically everyone in the secondary sucked except for McLaughlin and Caleb Evans run support. That's really about it. So McLaughlin, I'll put that about 70%. I think that he's a near stone cold lock to make the 53. And I think that he'll be in the cornerback mix. Now, I think that if they sign Gilmore, he would be cornerback 5, but that's perfectly fine. Next, the last defensive back on the 53. So right now, Bobby McCain, Moreau, Shelley, and Scene, we'll put that at about 40%, because it could come down to a spot, especially if and when they do add Stephon Gilmore, where the Vikings could keep 5 safeties, maybe even 6 safeties, and basically 11 bodies total in that cornerback and safety room, right? So do you keep 6 corners and 5 safeties, 6 safeties and 5 corners? Don't know. TBD. But I think that it will come down to one of the last spots. So McCain, Moreau, Shelley, and Lewis Scene. If it comes down to one of them, I mean, maybe Bobby McCain makes it, but also, like we said, with the expanded practice squads and practice squad call-ups, no muss, no fuss. Plus, I think you can get any of these guys onto the practice squad pretty easily, including Lewis Scene. Lastly, punter, Ryan Wright versus Seth Vernon. Now, yeah, Seth Vernon has a huge leg, sure, but there's a lot of other skills that go into punting, as well as going into holding, having some chemistry with DePaulo and Whale Rockard. But, yeah, Ryan Wright, great as a UDFA rookie in 2022. He might be the best player from the 2022 class at this moment in time, but we'll see. Last year, he sucked. He was ass. Thank you. Hopefully, he can rebound from that. But as of right now, I think there's a huge favorite to win that. Actually, crank this one up. Crank that Soldier Bowl. That's right. But that's it. Let's take a look at some training camp competitions, putting a percentage on who's going to win. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.